Oh, 9 o'clock. Okay, let's call the meeting to order, IT meeting. And this meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. So I'm calling the meeting to order and roll call. We're missing one person, Jake Tim. And we need to review and approve the agenda.
Mark moves to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion and a second.
Who got the second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ted, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Minutes of the previous meeting, 8/12 of 2025. I need a motion to approve.
Also.
All right, I have a motion from Ted and a second from Tammy. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Any public comments? Hearing none, we'll skip right over that. And we'll move to the supervisor's report, conference, seminar, convention, and webinar reports.
I'll be reporting on a little bit from the Tony's conference. There's a couple of sessions that sat in. Some related topics like AI and so forth. But I'll do that at the full board meeting.
Okay. Anything else? Then we'll go to transmission line renewals update.
So make the note for that last one. Okay, so the last time we met, we had the Spectrum information in front of you for the transmission line update from 500 meg to 1 gig speeds. If you remember, that had to go to the full county board because the life of the contract was going to be over $50,000. So the county board did approve that. That afternoon, I did reach out to Spectrum and they got the ball rolling right away, got me all the paperwork that we needed to get moving on that. So within a week, they had made the changes on their side. Once they made those changes, then we had to reach out to Wisnet, who is our internet and domain provider at the state of Wisconsin. And they were able to make the change about a week later for that. So we've been operating on the higher bandwidth for about a month now, and it's been going very well. We're doing backups to the cloud for our new virtual network that are running very, very good and very fast. So we are definitely very happy with that. With all the remote worker that we have and all the extra network changes that we had to make to get people off site for the building remodel, we were seeing that in our bandwidth before. We're not really seeing much of that now.
Excellent.
So yeah, that was the process to get that upgraded has gone very smooth. Sometimes working with Spectrum is not the easiest thing because they're just such a huge company. And if you know, Spectrum is with a TDS and Charter, I think was the merger that happened between those two. And once they did that, working with their customer support was hard. Getting on with engineers was hard. So, you know, it kind of became like AT&T, which was a little bit too big for what we needed. But this process has gone very smooth. Our sales rep,
How many?
500 meg to 1 gig. And like I said, it's just doing a lot with remote workers and cloud backups. It's gone very, very well. So very happy with that. So thank you for the ability to move to that. Thanks to the county board for approving that.
That's the right thing to do.
And then, like I said, within a couple of weeks, it was done, and we've been on it now for a little bit over a month, and definitely seeing the changes. So that's what I got for the transmission line renewal.
All right, any questions or comments? Microsoft Windows 11 update in Office 365.
Yep, your frustration that you just had is our frustration.
Pain in the
Microsoft Office 365 is just not fun to work with.
No.
There's no real alternatives for us to go to. And the last on-prem version of Office, which is Office 2021, goes end of life next year. So even if we would have went to that, we would have only had it for a year, and then we would have had to go to Office 365 anyways. But we've run into so many little quirky issues because you have to sync your network to their network, and then, you know, your domain and all your stuff, it's usernames and passwords and all the multi-factor authentications. And Unfortunately, it hasn't been the smoothest process, but we are very close to being completed. We should be done by the end of the day today with both Windows 11 and Office 365. And, big props to the staff that we're working with, especially the ones, we'd have a user sitting in the same area as somebody else, same network, same credentials, one works, one had, strange anomalies. So, it was a learning curve for us to roll out something that, one, we didn't want to go to it, and two, I don't think Microsoft is really prepared to offer that's their solution moving forward. Like, I think they have a lot of work to do, especially when Office 2021 sunsets next year, because then it's going to be everybody. The people that bought some time by going to Office 21 are now going to have to move to it next year. So we got it, the deadline is today. We have taken every bit of return on investment out of Office 2016 that we could, because that was, you buy it once and you own it.
Yeah.
Now, we were trying to hold off as long as possible. We were only buying the licensing as we were getting people loaded up. So we didn't buy all 400 licenses at first. If we could get 50 done in 2 weeks, we bought 50 and we got those people done. So, we were milking everything we could out of that original return on investment for Office 2016. The sad thing is what we paid for Office 2016, like 10 years ago, is what we're going to pay for Office 365, like every year.
Every year.
So you bought it and had it for 10, now you're paying the same amount to use it. And our understanding is that eventually Windows will go that way too. Unless they really make some mind changes, because I think a lot of people are going to move to other operating systems.
I was gonna say, is there other?
There are.
options?
Linux makes a good one, but
Yep.
it's a lot of stuff with compatibility, security, because a lot of stuff like in Linux is kind of open source, which means the world has access to the code and can try to figure out easier the security downfalls of it, as where Microsoft is a little bit more protected, but people are finding it through Microsoft too. But our hope is that Windows doesn't go that way for a while, but if they can figure out Office 365 and realize that, hey, we buy a laptop and you have Office 11 for 5 years, or you buy a laptop and you pay us for, or I'm sorry, Windows 11, you pay for Windows 11 for 5 years, they make more money.
Oh, yeah. Everything's going to subscriptions.
Yep, it is. And we're seeing it with things like Adobe and, quite a lot of these other things are that too. And we've gotten away with some lower end PDF, like Power PDF and stuff, but some of our users, might not be compatible with something that they have to do with the state, or it's a learning curve that they just don't have the time to do. You're exactly right. Everything's got to talk between the county, the state, the city, the federal governments, and the public.
That's the hard part that I run into is, it, in my private business, profits are made sometimes by cutting down costs or operating costs. And it's a nightmare to get, for as much of a nightmare as Microsoft, can be with some of their programs, to go away from it.
Yeah.
Is even worse when you're trying to integrate other software programs, because everything integrates to Microsoft. That's the big one, right? It's hard for me to even upload PDFs to CCAP if they're not done through a Microsoft.
Yeah.
I've called CCAP, said, why won't this PDF upload? Oh, you have to convert it in Microsoft. I'm like, oh.
Well, and the general public sees it and they say, well, I can get away with Notepad, but you as general public are not communicating with all the systems that we have to communicate to make a PDF get uploaded, or a Word document to upload with all the formatting that you did. Because, you end up with formatting problems if you're loading into a different system that can't take it, and everything that you've done, you end up with everything that's spaced out and paragraphed nicely turns into one big gigantic document that has no spacing and no, it's like a one gigantic run-on sentence. So you're right. It's hard to move away from it once you've done it. And there were products in the past, Sun, who used to develop computer software, made a really good version of word processing, document management like Excel. And I think Microsoft pretty much ran them out of business, because it would actually work with, you could load up Excel spreadsheets in their version of a spreadsheet manager. And you could load up Word documents into their word processor. And we actually had some copies of it at the county that we were trying. I still have one in the package, all nice and sealed up, because we only had it for a short amount of time and then you couldn't get it anymore. And it's like, well, that's not going to work. But they did have some rival companies, and again, Linux does have some kind of stuff like that. People are developing it, but again, who's gonna be the first one to try it and really go through, who's gonna be the first one through the wall? Because that's gonna be the tough, who's gonna be willing to figure out all the problems, or you pay the money to keep things rolling and that works. But even Microsoft sometimes puts out bad updates and things don't work. I mean, we've been subjected to Windows updates, server updates, that crash our system, take time to undo. But yeah, there's not a good competitor to Microsoft Office that integrates with all the stuff that we would need it to integrate with. Plus, it comes with an email program, which we also use, which if you bought like these versions of other companies' Office, you might still need Outlook as your email front end. So
what are we doing with Windows 11? I have it on my computer at home.
yep. So if we had Windows 10, because Windows 10 sunsets today, we had to get everybody that had Windows 10 still up to 11.
Yep.
And with some of those, the computers could upgrade. Microsoft released like all these things about the computers that were worthy of taking their upgrade to 11. And I'm not going to lie, that list really upset me because the desktop that sits on my desk at work is like a server and it doesn't qualify. It's 7 years old and it's better than anything you can buy at Best Buy right now that can take Windows 11, but they did not approve the processor that's in it to be included. So I had to change my computer out, and I have a great computer that's going to be eventually disposed of.
Well, that's my problem at home.
Yeah. So we have to upgrade everybody from 10 to 11. And we've done this through the years with 7 to 10, XP to 7, Windows 2000 to Windows XP. So, I mean, we've done it over time. Again, our fear is that eventually it's going to be subscription based. If it goes subscription based, these kinds of upgrades won't have to happen anymore. You just download their update patches. You won't have to do a mass migration like we've had to do. And the computers that didn't qualify, if we had something in our DR, because that was what the crazy thing, you have a computer that you bought that was 2 years old and a computer that you bought that was 4 years old. The 4-year-old one might take Windows 11 and the 2-year-old one might. So it's like trying to go through our computers and figure out which ones had processors that work. We did have some in our DR pile that were Windows 11 compatible. So if they couldn't take 10, we would go to the DR pile first, pull out a Windows 1 that was 11 and upgrade it to 11. If not, we had to buy new. And we've had to buy probably 20 computers to suffice to get everybody up to Windows 11.
So you're saying I have to buy a new computer?
Yeah.
Have Windows 11.
No, I
Windows
don't.
10.
I
Oh.
don't.
Now you can enroll, if you go to Windows Update site, you can enroll in a program. It's going to cost you some money, but you can enroll some computers into an extra year of support. So it would give you an extra year.
But as a small, just one household computer, does it really matter for me individually?
It does, because if it's a bad update and let's say you go to a site that's going to get you infected, if all of your stuff is on there like banking and you have autocomplete where your passwords are saved in a password list because you get tired of typing your password in and you click the box that says remember me.
Yeah.
If somebody is able to get on your system, they in essence have access to everything that from banking to credit card to anything, Ticketmaster, anything that you use on there. So I would say I wouldn't let it go too long.
Right.
And I would make sure that you're really conscious of the sites that you're visiting. Don't just click random links, even if you Google search it and it's the 5th one in the list, because you don't know who's populating those things to make them popular. But I wouldn't let it go too long. But if you also don't have Office 365 and you have an older version, 2013 was expired a while ago. 2016 expires today. 2019 expires today. 2021 gets you till about the same time next year. So it's not something I would let go too long.
Yeah. I just figure everyone, there must be like a,
And now you
on
let
computers right now.
you let everybody on YouTube know that you're not.
Oh, I forgot. My name is Sally.
But yeah, I like I said, I wouldn't let it go too long. I went through that process with everybody that I know already, and truly, I dislike Windows 11. So for me, I used to like the new versions of stuff. Even in my personal life, I like going to it, but with problems and integrations, I don't like being as cutting edge in my personal life anymore. I let somebody else, again, be the first one through the wall and figure out, and then I read it and see what they went through, and then I avoid all that stuff. But that's what I got for office. Oh, so office, you know how smoothly I talked about Spectrum. Office has not been anywhere. Working with Microsoft is not, I don't know if I would have ever said that before, but it's not as easy as working with Spectrum.
Wow. Okay, project updates.
All right, so this I'm gonna read quite a bit from. I apologize for that, but I don't want to miss anything. One of the main updates that we just did that we've been working on since April was the CJIS audit, and CJIS stands for Criminal Justice Information Systems. So we participate in this audit. It's done by the Department of Justice, and we get it on average every 2 years. There was a little bit of delay during the COVID year, so everything kind of got pushed back, but on average, we get it every 2 years. This is the first year that Waupaca County had an on-site portion of that audit. I believe they started doing the on-sites last year, but I don't know because we've never had one before as on-site. So how the audit works is the Department of Justice sent us a questionnaire that we are required to fill out. This questionnaire consisted of 120 pages of questions, and there was multiple questions on every page. So it's not like it was 120 questions. It was 120 pages of questions that had to be filled out by law enforcement and IT. Some of them had to do strictly with law enforcement, some had to do with IT, some had to be pretty much tandemly answered. The questions pertain to the following topics and how we handle these situations, and that's access control, auditing and accountability, awareness and training, configuration management, contingency planning, identification and authentication, incident response, maintenance of systems, media protection, mobile devices, personal security, physical and environmental protection, planning, risk assessment, system and communication protection, system and information integrity, and system and service acquisitions. So there was a lot of topics that were in these 120 pages of questions, everything from low-end IT to high-end IT to how law enforcement hires people, how they do their background checks, how do they vet the people that are coming in, how are they, making sure that everything is running according to the Department of Justice. And then once we submitted these 120 pages of questions back to them, they then review them, and then they send back ones that might need additional information. So of those 120 pages of questions, we got 89 questions back. We were very happy about that. 89 questions out of 120 pages of questions. We're very happy about that. So then we address those 89 questions, we send them back, they review them, and then they come on site. So they came in, unfortunately for me, they came in when I was in Arizona. So our network engineer and our programmer analyst are the two people that handled that audit in my absence. And then the various representation from law enforcement. And when
You
they
get to keep a copy of your report, so you have it for 2 years from now when they have.
Oh, yeah, we have all, yep, we have that. Yep, and we do a pretty good job from year to year of trying to keep it as updated as possible. But it's, usually we really start addressing it the first time they let us know that it's coming. But we try to address certain things throughout the year, make notes and changes. Anytime we make a change to, say, our contingency plan, we make sure to make a note in our CJIS folder that, we made this change, and when the time comes to let them know that this has changed last time. So they came in, did the onsite, they talked about the 89 questions that were, kicked back to us, and when they left, so they also looked at our facilities, they looked at our server room and some of the areas over in law enforcement to check out the actual physical security of where our stuff was. We got 10 questions back after they left. One of them had to do with the network map. They want us to change it. The example that we were given in their sample policy was a multi-page map, and that's what we did, because trying to take your whole network and shrink it down to one page is nearly impossible, but that's what they want. They want it on one page. But when we looked at their sample was on multiple pages. So we thought, okay, they changed their one-page requirements, and now we can use multiple. So we blew it out over a course of about 5 pages, and they want us to get it down to one. And they showed us the things that we could take out of it to get it down to one, and then the stuff that they would like us to add on there. So one of the main items that we have to change is something that, it's not going to take real long. And I think 4 of those 10 questions were law enforcement specific. I think it was hiring process. And then the other 6 were, one of those was the network map, and the other 5 we're hoping to address in the next 2 weeks and get that done and off of our plate for the next 2 years. But I have 2 different regional directors meetings, one tomorrow and one on Thursday. One's in Washington County, one's in Shawano County. And I think they're going to be very interested to know how our process went, because only one of them has gone through it in the Washington County district group. And I don't think any of them have gone through it in the Shawano County, the north of us. So I think they're going to be asking me a lot of questions, which is fine. I would love to give them our experience, because other than the fact that it's time consuming and 120 pages of questions, it's a time consuming process to go through, but it wasn't bad. And it's never been a bad experience for us. They don't want you to fail. They want to find out where the issues are and help you to fix those without giving you any real recommendations to say, you need Microsoft for this, and you need, they keep it general when it comes to how you get to that. They just tell you where they want you to go. Again, we started working on this in early April. The actual onsite was October 3rd, and 3rd or the 2nd. Like I said, I was in Arizona. I believe it was the 2nd. And again, this is not a quick or easy process to go through, but it was definitely an experience that, it wasn't awful. It was just time consuming. And then while working on the CGIS audit, kind of going into other things that we worked on, we were working on this CGIS audit at the same time that we were doing the AS400 and imaging migration, at the time that we did our virtual network overhaul, the relocation of staff and equipment for the building remodel, Office 365, Windows 11, because both of those we've been working on for a little while. We did the 2026 budget, the antivirus migration, the email encryption migration, logos to Workday migration we've been working on. The new data and network backups in the cloud we were working on, and then the transmission lines. So trying to fit in time to answer 120 pages of questions while you're doing all this other stuff, and then stop and then do some stuff and then go back to what you were working on. You really got to be good at multitasking to be able to handle a lot of stuff that we do in our department. And for the most part, like I said, our network engineer and our programmer analyst really knocked it out of the park for what we needed to have done, especially in my absence when I was on vacation. And I pretty much was like, of course they scheduled it when I'm out of the office. And I told them, I'm like, I don't want to put Microsoft Teams on my personal cell phone, but I told them, I said, if you need to call me, call me. And our network engineer, he called me a couple of times just to tell me how great the process went, not to have to answer any questions. He just let me know that, the process started, then it was over, and then we just kind of reviewed what went on. And he said they're going to have some stuff that they send back to us. So 120 pages of questions in the beginning whittled down to 10 at the end. 4 of them didn't have anything to do with IT. It was like, man, we got 6 questions. After 120 pages of questions, we got 6 left to figure out.
It's good.
And we already have the answers to it. It's just a matter of finding the time. We're focused on Office and Windows, find the time to answer them in the with not just notes, actually write up the description of what it is. And then they have like an online portal that you go upload your answers to. So we're definitely looking forward to the end of that. But like I said, it was an experience. It wasn't awful. It's just time consuming.
It's probably good that you weren't here, quite honestly. I mean, it's good for everyone to know everything.
It was.
Small group of people like that.
Yeah. And it was, I think we were all stressing on it because we didn't know what to expect. And the person that went through it, the one IT director that went through it only went through it like a week before we did. And I didn't have time to talk with him much about it. I did talk with him a little about to figure out, what was it that they were asking of you? Did they focus on the whole 120 pages? Did they focus on what they just kicked back to you? What did they want to see as far as, did they want to see your policies? Did they want to see your environment? Did they want to, secretly walk through and make sure that people were locking their screens, and when there was nobody in the office that the computers weren't accessible? So I got
stickies on it, telling you the password.
Yeah. Look under the keyboard and see what's all in there. But it wasn't anything near, what we were all trying to figure out, because nobody that we've known have gone through it. So going through it now, it was a trip and an adventure, and hopefully we don't get audited again for 2 years. Hopefully they stay on that every 2, because they got 72 counties to do.
Yeah.
So I think two years is probably what it takes. They can probably get through only so many per year. So if not, obviously we'll be ready. And we're gonna, alter some of our policies and our procedures moving forward to reflect more of what the samples are that they've given us. And we're gonna try to keep our network map diagram for them to one page, because that's not sure how that's gonna work as everything expands over the years, but we'll do what we can for them. And then another project, is, like we talked about, the AS400 migration, the network overhaul. All of those projects actually led to savings in our software budget. Moving from our original network environment to the new one saved us like $40,000. Moving off of the AS400 saved us close to $16,000. And all of this money is in a budget that's non-lapsing. So if we don't spend it, it carries over to the next year. We were planning on using the extra money in software. I mean, we knew we were going to have these savings to start changing out our network switches, because one of the items that came from the CGIS audit that we learned through the process, not when they came on site, but through the process, is there's a new cryptographic module that's coming out next year. It's called FIPS 140-3, and that stands for Federal Information Processing Standard. And they are moving from 140-2 to 140-3, and there is not a lot of equipment out in the world right now that's ready for 140-3. A lot of our stuff is not ready for it, but even the stuff that you could buy right now isn't ready for it. They just issued this new standard during the summer, and it's like, so all these companies are trying to submit all their stuff to like the NIST and the testers to get it, approved, but that process takes time. We're trying to get ahead of that game. We had in our capital improvement, if you remember from our budget, 200,000 set aside for switches next year. We're going to use the extra in software that we had for savings to jumpstart that and hopefully get that process started this year. The issue that we might run into is supply chain issues. It has been one of the craziest years. COVID was a crazy year as far as being able to get equipment, but that was because a lot of the shipping stuff wasn't happening. And two, a lot of people were buying up all the laptops, all the webcams, because now you had everybody working remote. So that there was supply issues with that. This is a strange kind of anomaly that we're dealing with now. I'll place an order for something that says it's in stock and it'll take, 4 weeks to get here. It was in stock. Or I'll order something that's in stock and then it will be discontinued. I'll get an email that says, this product was discontinued, please find something else. Well, I needed that specific item. I don't know if it's tariffs, like these companies, like these sellers like CDWG might be stocking less because everything they buy now from overseas comes with a tariff. And if they hold it for 2 years and the tariff goes away, then they're going to still have to put that cost down to the end user. And the end user is going to say, hey, there's no tariffs anymore. Why are you charging me this amount? So I'm thinking it's a little bit to have to do with that. Like they're not stocking as much in warehouses that they did. But we've also had some strange weather anomalies. And if any of these places have warehouses down in Texas, Florida, places that got some of these crazy weather patterns, you might have had a warehouse that flooded out, or you might have had something. But this is one of the strangest years, non-COVID, that I've had for supplies. So we can place the orders, whether or not they get here by the end of the year, I don't know. Whether or not we get an invoice by the end of the year, I don't know. But again, it's in a non-lapsing account. So we're not like, it has to be bought and paid for an invoice by the end of the year, because those funds will move into next year. Heidi did a great job setting those accounts up like that. So that's the technology maintenance budget, to be non-lapsing. So whatever we have that we don't spend, because back when I first became the director, I was talking to her and I'm like, it's so hard near the end of the year. You don't want to spend all your money at the beginning of the year and not have any money at the end, but at the end you can't spend it and get invoices. So you end up with finance trying to say, okay, is this a 2024 expense or a 2025 expense? So they made that account non-lapsing, and by March, they usually know where we're at. All of our last year's invoices have come in, and then they usually will make those budget adjustments for us then. So my hope is that we can get some switches ordered and get that whole FIPS 140-3 process started, because if this standard goes into effect in August of October next year, you're going to have a lot of people then buying the same kind of equipment that we're trying to buy to meet that new standard. I believe that's what I got for project updates. I know, like I said, I apologize for reading. I just didn't really want to miss stuff that was in there, especially all the different items of the CGIS audit that those questions pertain to.
your IT department update?
Yep, so we currently have 2 open positions on there. We do have a commitment from a person for the senior network and cybersecurity engineer. We're just working out the details of a start date on that, but it should be pretty soon. The second position, we've been kind of holding off on for budgets, and, you know, Ted, you mentioned the county board that we did discuss that. So it was just, we wanted to make sure that there was funding for the position before we hired it this year, and then maybe had to lay it off next year. So we've just been waiting. We've been operating short staff since pretty much March. So usually the end of the year is not as busy. We've gotten through a bulk of the stuff that we needed to get through, from the CGIS audit to the network migration to all that stuff. Now we're just waiting on Workday stuff. And they've pushed the start date of that into next year. So, you know, there's not a huge rush on that for IT. There's a lot of things being worked out between finance and HR for Workday, but our involvement of that, we were pushing that we were going to be going live in October. So the stuff that we've done it's not going to change much. Now we just need to do any final stuff before the start date. So again, the hope is that maybe we can get some switches and get them in. But as far as that position, you know, if we had to hold off to help the county, we were willing to do that. Obviously, everybody would have to take a hit some way, but once we know for certain that there's probably still got a couple more county boards, and then we'll probably start the recruitment process if everything goes well for that second open position. Probably looking maybe to start that process early to mid-December. I have surgery in the middle of November, so I don't want to start it before that. And I don't want to start it right now in case there's any budget issues that we have to go back for. So just kind of a wait and see. And then once I'm cleared to return to work, I'm hoping within 10 to 14 days, I'll be cleared for remote. And that'll be usually if you're off the heavy painkillers by then. So once I'm off those, then I can officially come back to work, and we'll start working with HR on the recruitment process if everything looks good with the budget.
Sounds like a good plan.
And if you visit the IT department, I apologize. It's messy, it's cluttered. We lost our storage space in the basement to the building remodel. Ron did a great job finding stuff for the stuff that we didn't need on a daily basis. But we used to have access to a cage down in that was all of our stuff. If we needed to pick up something, we just go down there and grab it. Now all those littles are in our office space. So if you visit IT, it's cluttery, it's messy. I apologize for that. Eventually the storage will be right next to our office, so we won't even have to go down into the basement anymore. But it's going to be a long process before that starts. So if you visit IT, apologize for the mess.
When are we due to have it done?
We are in phase 2. So
Out of how many phases?
2 phases. The first phase is what's going on right now. The second phase is going to be departments like county clerk, Christie's office, IT, I believe, maybe maintenance downstairs, pretty much everybody on the west side of the courthouse, minus finance and public health, because they already did their stuff. But yeah, it's I don't like clutter and mess, so it kind of drives my brain a little crazy when I walk in there, except I just tell myself there's nowhere for it to go, and we need that stuff, and there's nowhere else for it to go. I mean, we went over budget on equipment disposal this year, just cleaning out the cage stuff that I would have liked to keep, but realistically, there's nowhere to keep it. So we wouldn't go through the disposal process for that.
What I was going to tell you for Adobe, if you want to check out software called Nitro.
Yeah, and that is one of them that I did check out, and there's another one. There's another one from Kofax too that works pretty well. But Kofax was one that we've used in the past,
Okay.
and they got bought and sold. We placed an order in early summer, and then they went through a buyout process, and our order never really processed. So I just replaced that order like last week. So again, just anomalies stuff that's just been happening this year. And, you know, the tariffs on equipment, I can understand, but sometimes software, I mean, usually you have some companies don't want to lose revenue. So whether you bought it from the old company or the new company, somebody wants to make the dollar on it. So, but Nitro is one of those two. It's going to be for changing out from Adobe is going to be, you know, how capable is the person who's used Adobe for 10 years?
I know we left Adobe with our magazine editor that does all our social media and does our magazine. Everyone else got Nitro. And it's not a subscription, so you buy it once.
Yeah,
and you're done.
And that's what Tungsten was for us that we like too. But as far as Adobe goes, the department's budget for Adobe. So it's going to be them deciding when they don't want to pay for it anymore, or if they want to pay half the cost, then they're gonna have to make sure that they have their people enough time to learn the new one, because it's not the same. It's,
No, but it's not.
if you've used Adobe for 10 years and they want you to change to it, they need to give that person time to learn it and not expect them on day two that they're using Nitro or Tungsten right now and be able to fully operate. But other than that, that's what I've got for us this 2 months since I saw you last.
So you've been doing it in all your free time.
Watching dogs, actually. I watched a lot of dogs in August. One of my friends jokingly called it Dogist for me because I was just watching at my house and watching people's at their house. And I flew to Arizona and this month to watch a dog and a cat during monsoon and flooding and torrential downpours for 2 of those days. Arizona's still dealing with it. Like, it doesn't happen often in Arizona, but I don't know if you've seen any of the news, but they are dealing with massive flooding down there. And
Yeah.
because they're not designed, they don't have the sewer system and the water system to handle like snow and rain like we get up here. So they are, anytime they get a lot of rain, and they had microbursts yesterday. My friend down there was sending me videos of this pool water just rocking back and forth
Wow.
like it's out in the ocean. The trees are like bending over, and he sent me video of a street that they went down, and all the trees that didn't have big roots are in the road and on the ground. And cactuses, some cactus farms that have been around forever, because cactuses are protected down there. You can't even touch them. Cactuses all tipped over, probably not going to recover from it. So, but yeah, dog watching. And I enjoy that in sports. Obviously, it's a good time for sports for Wisconsin fans, except for the Badgers.
Oh, we don't talk about them.
We don't.
I like the way you guys.
Definitely don't.
I'm with you on that.
Are they even playing this year?
Yeah, I don't think their college team is. I think their junior varsity high school team is playing. And it's too bad because they actually brought out the retro logos and the retro uniforms just to get beat up on by another team.
Were they the pre-Barry Alvarez uniforms? Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Instead of the wavy W, it was the more squared off.
Well, I mean, Alvarez wasn't exactly great either.
No.
No,
So
Barry, one more year.
if we stick to the every 2 months, December 9th at 9 AM here, probably not in this room. That just happened to work out that there was nobody else here today. So we didn't have to be in the little room today, but most likely from here on out, we'll be down in the little room if there's anything scheduled in this one.
Little room where?
Right down the hallway.
Okay, but still.
Still here, yeah, just right down the hallway.
When is the next?
I have it as December 9th at 9 AM, but that's just sticking to our normal schedule.
But we're changing it to 9 AM, right?
Oh, this one was 9, but yeah. While we're here, the doors don't open till 8. I tried today at 7:45 just to see, but they're all electronic locks and the door is not open till 8. That just gives me enough time to set up and get everything.
Get my purses switched to.
Yeah, that was multiple purses and bags over there.
A long weekend, go to a lot of different places.
So are we good on the 9th? I mean, and if that changes, it can change, but as far as just having it to end the meeting today, if you guys are good with that, we'll just do December 9th at 9 AM.
Sounds good.
Great, then we will set that. Other than that, it's an adjournment.